G'day there, everyone tuning in on YouTube. Thanks very much. Hit the subscribe button and all that sort of stuff because we'll have plenty of stuff dropping through here during the season, including our podcast, which is about to start. But quickly, if you're in Adelaide, 25th of February, we are going to be over for an afternoon session on the beers, talking about fantasy footy. Some of our mates will be there. Keeper League pod will be there. Draft Doctors are also going to be there. So,
look out.
And even Pod, those guys will be there. So I think it's going to be a big afternoon of fantasy footy. Tickets at thehighway.com.au, so it all kicks off about 2 o'clock. So more details also on dreamteamtalk.com if you want to know that.
If you don't leave that afternoon without a good team, there's something wrong.
That's going to save my
There's going to be something wrong with you, I reckon.
Too right there will be, especially by the end of it.
All right, let's do this podcast.
Welcome to the official AFL Fantasy podcast with the Traders.
G'day with the Traders. I'm Roy. I coach Destroy, and I'm here with Warnie.
Coach of the One Dogs.
And Calvin.
Coach of Calvin Nator.
You're bringing a bit today, aren't
I've
you?
got the, well, it's
He's
a big
rucking
one.
about.
He is. It's a very big, very,
Kind of work.
it is. Yeah, I'll pay it. It's a
Thanks.
very big
Still rucking
episode.
annoying, though.
Yeah, bloody hell.
Oh, here we go. Right, you'll miss out on all the good information
No,
then.
just stop, dog, because he has come in today, heavily researched,
Bit of swagger.
and he thinks he's got a bit.
You've got your Mr. Worldwide t-shirt on. Your
He
chest is
does.
poked out.
Pitbull, very relevant this year.
There's one thing I fear. I think he's going to be all about selling Lycett today.
Oh, no.
What?
Well, you'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm jumping
get there.
ahead. I'm jumping ahead.
It's a big week.
A ruck focus.
I do like
Last
Lycett.
week was a big week because the app launched.
Thank God.
And people are happy.
Oh.
Yes.
Yep. So the app's there. If you haven't got it yet, go and grab it.
Yeah, definitely. Goodness me. My Twitter feed, thanks, whoever released the app update, because people seem much happier now.
You know why? Because you would go, here are the 5 most owned players. People wrote, where's the app? Who is your starting ruck combination? Where's the app?
Yeah. And I could
And I'm going, no,
understand.
app's not in my starting ruck lineup. There's a few that I wanted to just be like a smart ass back at it.
You got 30 days.
I only did it a few times.
Actually, I did do one at one point. Someone wrote, I think it was a question like that, and I just typed it into the search bar and took a screenshot of, and no results found because it was a player. It was something about which player have you got there.
Yeah. No,
Roy. I think I got 2 likes.
I like it.
You had to be there.
It's very good.
You had to be
Shut up, you peanut. The other exciting thing this week is the launch of a draft. So that starts on Wednesday. So there are quite a few leagues that are already going on Wednesday. We are for our mock draft.
Come
for
on.
our
Exciting.
draft kit. So that's exciting for us to do that. And a little bit nerve-wracking to do our first draft of the season and make sure that we are hopefully getting it relatively right, and the other blokes are getting it right.
Pick one. I've got pick one, don't I?
Have you got pick one?
I think I do.
Do you?
I think I do.
See, the thing
No, I
is,
do.
I've got my head...
I rigged that.
Good job.
Yeah.
I've got my head in the classic game at the moment.
Yeah.
But just last night I was looking over my draft rankings because you've got to be across the lot, and I'm not quite there yet. I'm not ready. I've got a bit of work to do in my mind before I can hit the draft running.
The One Dogs have got pick one, mate.
Do you really?
Calvinator.
So you'll go Dunkley.
No man's land in pick 6. Yeah, well, it is Dunkley at pick 1, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd be doing it. He might be the number one player in the game.
He definitely could be. You don't want to be in that draft order. You don't want to be in the middle.
So how many we got in that one?
Just 10 of us.
10.
So it's a
And
good
where's
10.
Cal?
Cal's at 6.
Oh, no, where
You're
am I?
at 5.
5? It's disgusting.
Yeah,
I just missed all the good players.
I know.
Oh,
It's horrible in there.
So anyway, we've got that coming up, which is exciting. But Cal, you've probably got the first real draft of anything coming up with your mates at work.
So my mates
people
at work,
that you work with, I mean, I won't call them mates.
They like me for my fantasy knowledge. Right. So, so on Friday we're doing ours, and the winner of our draft last year, Chat, so he's in charge of the draft order.
Yes.
And this is what he did.
Right.
You'll like this. Everyone got an NBA card.
Yep.
Okay. Spun a wheel.
Yep.
Came up Karl Malone.
Yep.
So if you had Karl Malone,
Yep.
you got to choose your category. rebounds, points, assists. So you went, oh, look, I'm going rebounds.
Yep.
Then everyone gets ranked on their rebounds, and that's the draft order.
Oh, really?
Very creative. I like it.
It's good.
It's a nice, different way to do it.
100% it is.
What pick do you have in that draft?
Yeah, no man's land again. 6. Sorry, 7 out of the 12 or 14. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
hard to win from there.
Yeah,
Have you got a little event organised for it?
Just some beers and barbecue, mate. Beers and barbecue, mate. Yeah,
Out at your place?
beers and barbecue, mine.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah, all the boys come round.
Good on you.
Yeah,
Good on you.
crack a can.
Yeah, awesome.
That'd be fun.
Here's the news of the week you need to know on the official AFL Fantasy podcast.
Plenty of stuff has been happening, so just make sure you're following all the relevant places and accounts and all that. One of the big bits of news that did come out, and this goes to our draft rankings, and a line through in Classic, is Harry Himmelberg will be a forward. So there was that article on AFL.com.au.
Do we hold... He started forward last year, though, Roy.
Yeah.
Do we hold some hope?
Yeah, when...
Well, if he moves,
if
if
someone
Phil
like Phil
Davis gets
Davis
injured,
playing at the moment, yeah, so he'll last a couple of weeks, and then the Hberg might go back and become relevant. But I don't know, the Giants were even playing with all their talk, their will he be forward, will he be back, their social media account. They obviously were aiming that at fantasy people. No one else cares if the Berg's forward or back, do they?
Well, do they have any fans too care? I didn't mean that.
Oh, hashtag believe Tasmania team. Yeah. Unbelievable. But
right.
yeah, no, Hberg, massive line through.
Yeah.
Interesting in draft, though, because if he's
got
just
an 80
sitting
next
there,
to his name.
Yeah. And picking him up for the fact he might go back, that could be a league. That could win you.
Yeah.
If he went back second half of the year or something.
It's a big fade for me.
So what do you draft him at, average-wise, when the forwards are so low that
I'll
they...
put him down well under 80 because that puts him very high in the forward rankings.
What,
Well, he
70? Out of 70?
He can't average 80 as a forward, can he?
No
No,
way.
He doesn't
I think he was
touch it.
going at like 60...
Something. Yeah, you're right.
Low 60s he was.
Hits the scoreboard once or twice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
But
big line
maybe
through.
he's better now, though, because he did have that opportunity to do that.
Oh, okay.
He might take
Confidence
some more
boost.
marks.
And I'll tell you what, it's taken the pressure off any question marks of him as a player,
Yeah.
hasn't it? Because
Yeah.
people have seen like his elite kick and all that sort
Yeah.
of stuff. So he's elevated his name based
Agreed.
on what he did last year. So that confidence.
He will play
could go
in the back
forward.
line at some stage too, though.
Of course he will.
But we just don't touch.
No.
Especially in Classic. Goodness me.
Seeing a lot of other news about players and rookies, the shortage that we're going to have, Calvinator.
Oh, no.
No. We might have a few. I think West Coast is going to be a happy hunting ground for us.
Yeah.
Ginby looks like he's locked.
I think there's no shortage this year. I
Well,
think we're going to
Hewitt's
be
looking
inundated.
good there too,
Hewitt's good.
I think. Yep. So, we'll just have
Someone
to
said
keep
the other
monitoring.
day, how many West Coast players are too many?
Yeah.
Because at the moment there's
Well,
a lot...
Yo's flying.
Yo,
Sheed is a lock,
there has not been a bad word said about my mate Yo.
No.
apart from you.
And you, yeah,
No,
exactly.
not this year. Not this year. I've been
No,
very
you have
positive.
been very positive.
I've got a fridge magnet of the man.
Yeah,
All
well,
right?
that's true.
So
Elliot, Yo, he's back
Yo,
again.
Sheed, Ginby,
Are you
Hewitt.
going to sing a song about Elliot Yo this year?
Potentially, yes.
Okay, you're right, though. There's a heap of them, and I am not willing to put a number limit on
Okay.
these guys. They are all such value that they can all come in.
And they're all value because West Coast sucked so bad last year.
Yes.
Look, I haven't even crossed off Gaff. Yeah, I have. Gotcha.
So we're going to see some stuff in action very soon. So on Thursday, the 23rd of February is when we have our first match simulation, but not just playing against each other match simulation.
No.
It's going to be against teams. So
I feel like match sim, they might not even be tackling.
No, they don't.
It's match sim.
Yeah.
Let's pretend to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it will
Agreed.
be interesting, dog. It's going to go.
100%.
It'll be fun.
It'll be a much better
Indication.
Indication. Great word.
No worries.
indication
Indication.
of the nation.
Calvination.
So match sim will be on Thursday, Friday next week, and then the week after that is the practice matches as they are called. This year. That's what we've got. We're heading north today for our bit of a look at the. Hang on, I'll start that again. That was bad.
A bit rusty, dog.
A bit rusty. First thing in the morning, we can't get it going. Right, I'll start that again.
Take a deep breath. You've done this before, dog. Come on.
Settle down. We're heading north today as we go around the grounds and we're trying to look at our track watching across the clubs, and we're up in Queensland and this is our mate Fish. Welcome, Michael Whiting.
Hey, boys, how you going?
Good, mate. You're back on deck, you're working hard, and you're doing a lot of the good work for us because there's plenty of fantasy relevance up in Queensland for us this year, and probably the most relevant club. Let's start with the Brisbane Lions, and we'll start with the most selected player in fantasy, Will Ashcroft. The simple question is he going to be there round one?
He will be. Not much surprise that he's number one, is it? He's the talk of the town, and he's done everything they could have hoped for in his first couple of months at Brisbane. The match sims they've played, he's been a standout in the past 3 weeks. Now, admittedly against slightly lesser opposition. Be interesting to see how he goes once they play some genuine opposition. But yeah, he'll be there round one. He's been super, super impressive.
Has he been looking like he's in that sort of the first unit though as a midfielder?
He does. Yeah, they've been using him in that first rotation with Josh Dunkley, Lachie Neale, and Hugh McCluggage, but Jarrod Berry hasn't played yet. He'll be back this week. I'm interested to see how that affects Will's role, but I think he's shown enough that he will get a lot of minutes around the middle of the ground. Now, whether he's starting at half forward and pushing in or not, I think he will spend a lot of time around the middle of the ground. Had
obviously great numbers as a junior for fantasy, but I guess he'll be sort of that half forward midfield rotation type thing, and I guess he still finds the ball though, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He's got such an amazing work rate. I don't think it does obviously matter if you're on ball or not, but I think he'll find plenty of the ball no matter where he is. And I do think I was a bit sceptical when he got drafted about how much time he would play around the contest, but what I've seen over the pre-season is they're pretty prepared to use him in there, and he does look good against the mature bodies. I know that'll probably change when we play some opposition, but it couldn't be more impressed so far, and I do think I think he'll live up to the hype, mate. I can't believe I'm saying it. I'm normally pretty conservative with this stuff, but yeah, I think he'll live up to the hype.
We're excited.
Yeah, we certainly are. Now, speaking of hype, someone that we've always loved from a fantasy perspective, we haven't always loved his role, but we've loved the player and we know what he can do. Josh Dunkley moving up to the Lions has us really excited because we feel like that he'll be unleashed a little bit more through the midfield, where he was only sort of hitting that 50% CBAs at the Bulldogs. What do you see Dunkley's role?
Yeah, I think he'll be prime. He'll have a lot of centre bounces, I think. Like I said, so far there's been one or two midfielders missing because of injuries and setbacks at Brisbane, but he's been constantly centre bounce. And what I have noticed is that Oscar McInerney and Darcy Ford are looking for Dunkley at least as much, if not more, than they're looking for Lachie Neale. So whether that's just a chemistry thing they're trying to build up, but yeah, he'll spend most of his time around the contest. I can't see them moving him to half forward or to wing or to alternate roles too often. I'd be shocked if it wasn't a majority of his game time around the ball.
That's what we wanted to hear.
Yeah, isn't that what we want to hear?
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I also saw a name pop up that I was very interested in, and that was the Irishman, Conor McGregor. Now, he... McKenna.
Not notorious.
What did I say?
McGregor, you've done that a couple of times now. You still haven't worked it out.
Is he joking? Wasn't he joking?
His brain does not work.
It's Monday morning.
Oh, my God. I thought you were doing it as a joke.
Rightio. Conor McKenna. Now, the Irishman, he's back. What's his role? Is he best 22? And what role is he going to have?
He's been playing half back. I think he's a watch this space. He's probably a little bit further advanced than I thought, to be fair. I thought it might take him a little while to get his footy legs back under him after being away for a season or two, but he's been quite impressive in the couple of inter-clubs I've seen. I do think there's a real logjam there for Brisbane, though. So we know they've got Daniel Rich, Gideon Coleman, Darcy Wilmot was so impressive. Late last season when he got his chance in the finals. Noah Answorth plays down there. I just think it's a bit of a log jam, and I'd really want to just hold my fire on Conor McKenna, although he has been quite impressive. But yeah, I think you just watch those trial games before you pull the trigger on him.
Okay, tweet there, Calvin.
Interesting one. As far as the wing position goes at Brisbane, who holds them?
Yeah, again, I'm probably trying. I don't want to dodge your questions here, but I think that might be the most interesting spot on the team. I think it'll depend on how they want to use McCluggage. I think he'll spend a bit of time on the wing and a bit back in the midfield. I think Berry will be the same. I think it'll go back to that Berry McCluggage primarily. Wouldn't be shocked at times through the season they might try a Noah Answorth on a wing, or a Cal Archie, for guys like that. But I think that's the biggest watch on Brisbane's starting team, those wing roles.
Interesting.
Now, a couple of things there. I guess that midfield does have a bit of a squeeze. Now, we saw Lyons find his way out of the side at the end of last season for the finals. I know, Calvin, we've got our draft starts this week, and there's going to be people that are going to be drafting Jarrod Lyons. Now, should people be avoiding that?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think he's not only was he out of the team at the end of last year, he had groin surgery in the off-season, just played his first practice match on Friday, just gone. So he's a bit behind the eight ball, obviously, with Dunkley and Ashcroft coming into the mix. I mean, I think it's going to take an injury or two for Jarrod Lyons to push his way back into Brisbane's midfield, but I'd be steering clear of him.
That's a shame, Roy, because a groin relocation is not what you want to be hearing.
You certainly do not. Now, with that draft hat remaining on, Dane Zorko was actually enjoying his best pre-season, I believe, in a number of years, but he's been struck with injury. How's he looking, and are we still thinking reasonably high draft pick considering that forward status?
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be back in a week or two, so there's no question he'll be right for round one. I do think they'll probably play him a little more forward this year, so he'll be half forward going into the midfield. So I'm not sure what the exact split will be, but he won't be playing on ball the majority of the time with those new players that are in the mix there. But he'll be fine. And, yeah, he's really fit. He's probably the first guy I noticed when I went back to Brisbane's pre-season. Looked significantly leaner than he has in previous years. Had a great pre-season up until a couple of weeks ago when he nicked the hamstring. But, yeah, he'll be fine. I think he's a good option.
Now, I mentioned the lines are super relevant, and actually the third most selected line is Darcy Wilmot in 43% of teams. So because he didn't play in the home and away season last year, he's still his basement price. So he's not sort of priced at what his output was. So is that a good pick for us at the moment, sort of the bottom price player there as a defender? Do you think he's looking like he's knocking on the door for that round one team?
Yeah, again, I really think it's him and McKenna might be vying for the one spot. I'm just interested to see how the next couple of weeks pan out. He has had a very good pre-season. I'm huge on him. He's a bit of a favourite of mine, and I'm sure I'm not the only one listening to this that has him as a bit of a favourite. But it's probably not ideal for you guys. You might just have to wait another week or two, though. Unfortunately, it's just a bit hard to tell. I think it's him and McKenna vying for a spot.
Yeah, when you're such a good team, it's going to be hard
for some of
the younger guys to be getting their gig there. So let's take our attention to, a team that we always think they're younger guys, but sort of developing into a bit more of a steady unit, and that is Gold Coast, where you're on your way on the train actually at the moment down to check those guys out. How are they looking so far when you've been track watching for them?
Yeah, terrific. A couple of injury concerns or guys on the way back from injury. It's generally quite a healthy list. I'm super excited about them as a team, collectively, and individuals. There's a lot to be excited about. So, yeah, they've had a fantastic pre-season so far. Super, super fit. I'm a bit of a fitness freak myself, and I love watching those guys train. They get right amongst it, so excited to see what they can do this season.
Well, let's start at the top there, and a lot of people are keen on him because he's been the highest priced player. He was last year to start the season and has knocked out a 120 average. Dipped a little bit last year down to a 110, but that's Touk Miller. And if you got fantasy points for how good you look with your shirt off,
oh my God,
he would be the best player this preseason, I'd say.
You don't want to be next to him with your shirt off, that's for sure. He's in pretty good nick. What can you say about him? I just can't see how you can miss with Touk. He is just a relentless worker. I look at guys like him and Andy Brayshaw and think, how can you slow these guys down? They work so hard both ways. They're always offering teammates options. Has not skipped a beat this pre-season, fit as ever, so can't see how you can miss with him.
So he had a little bit of a drop last year, so dropped 10 points per game on average. Can you see him getting back up there, or is this a little bit of a thing about where the Suns are at, maybe their style of play, or also just development of players such as Noah Anderson, who we love, and he had a bit of a breakout last year fantasy-wise and could potentially do it a little bit more this year too?
Yeah, I reckon you're right. I think probably if I'm guessing, it would be about the level of last year. You would hope that workload would be spread a fraction more, which it was with Noah Anderson stepping up. Matt Rowell, a slightly different role, obviously a little bit more inside. I'm sure he'll be better this year. So, yeah, I would think about last year's level now with a 110, 112, 115. Yeah, 120 is a pretty high bar. I'd be reluctant to say he'll get back up to that, but I can't see how he's going to dip at all.
Now, I'm looking at a guy here with 8% ownership at the moment. We've talked about Conor McKenna and Conor McGregor. Can we talk about Connor Blakely? Now, for 235k as a midfielder here, surely he's not in the team, is he? Depth.
Nah, he's not in the team to start. I don't think he's far away. He might need an injury or two to get in.
Okay.
He has impressed, but that midfield is so hard to crack. Miller, Rowell, Anderson, Swallow, etc., etc.
Yep.
But he has been very impressive. I don't think he's going to start round one, though.
Now, one guy you mentioned briefly there, excuse me, Matt Rowell. Rowell. What role do you see him playing this year? Because last year it certainly didn't convert to any form of fantasy scoring.
Wasn't taking any marks at all.
No, he did not look like taking a mark. It looked like he didn't want the ball, in fact. Nothing like when we saw him break onto the scene in his first few games where he was just an attacking beast. Is this what we can expect from him, what we saw last year, or what are your thoughts with him?
I think it's going to be the same role. He's going to be primarily inside. I guess you'd like to see him go forward and kick another goal or two. We know he had the knee problems a couple of years in a row there, which held him back. He had a good, consistent year last year. I would expect him to take a little jump. Personally, I'd be reluctant to pick him in a fantasy comp because I think there's probably better value mids there.
Yep.
Now, obviously, you need him to take marks and kick goals if you want to get a bit more bang for buck. And so whether he'll do that or not, he's had a great pre-season. I expect him to have a very good season as a footballer. How that converts to fantasy, I'd be a bit reluctant.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a no, Roy. That's a clear no.
Big no.
Last one for me here, Fish, and I'm sorry for going away from the Connor questions, but I'm looking at Bailey Humphrey. So he's a 290k mid-forward. Any chance he's going to get a game early?
Yeah, I do think he's a chance. Now, I'm not saying he's a certainty, but he's been very impressive. They've really loved what he's done, and he's probably a bit closer than I thought he might be. I think he's just on the outside looking in, but a good pre-season match or two, and he could find his way in.
All right.
Yeah, he is a chance early. It's a bit of a watch this space.
Okay.
Well, I've got two more players. A few people have been keen, and he's got super low ownership, but Brandon Ellis has... He ended up with a big average towards the end of the season, I think it was. I can't know. He came home pretty strong. Like he'll be a winger, won't he, basically, and will there be enough ball on the outside for him?
Yeah, he will be a winger. He did sort of play a bit half-back late last year. He'll go half-back at a pinch, but he'll primarily play wing. Right. I don't know whether he's going to put up the numbers he did at the back end of last year.
But that half-back,
that half-back. He'll fill in there occasionally, but, he'll generally be a wing, so I'd have a little bit of caution around him.
Yep, and the last one there is Jarrod Witts. We're in a world where we're seeing a lot of clubs go with the dual ruck setup, and I guess the Suns don't really have that. And Wittsy had an amazing season last year. He surprised everyone, especially us in fantasy, because you're picking a guy off an ACL. We don't do that. And he ended up probably being the pick of the year.
He played 22.
From where his price was and the points that he scored for the season. So are things just going to look the same for him? Is he having a good preseason? Because when it comes to draft, we do like players, A, that play every game, and B, that are just knock up decent numbers each week. It's not too much, not too sporadic for him.
Yeah, that's him. His role's not going to change. They're going to go with primarily the one ruckman, a little bit of pinch hitting from Marby or Chol maybe as a backup, but Wittsy will do most of it. Hasn't missed a beat this preseason. Completed everything. Looks as good as ever. So no reason to think he's going to take a step back from last year.
Okay, Fish, I've got a couple for you, if that's okay. Now, Jack Lukosius, he looked like becoming quite a good scorer down across half-back, but he obviously moved forward and his scoring dried right up. Will we see him forward again?
Yeah, he's playing forward this year, guys. Nice. So, yeah, he's going to be a forward. He might get the odd. He might get a few minutes here and there on the wing, but he's going to be in the front half. So yeah, I'd be giving him a wide berth.
Ben Long,
half back. Yeah,
and what do you think?
On him at half back.
Pretty busy back there, you reckon?
Yeah, hard to tell. I think initially maybe, but early in the season, I think Lockie Weller will be. If he's not round one, he's going to be within the first month. Will Powell the same, and I think the Suns look for those guys to use the ball a bit more often. So, not sure how big an impact you'll have offensively.
Because a few people are interested, but I think that's enough question marks to put a line through.
Yeah.
They're interested because he had that 138 in his last game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Last game.
So, it's a no.
And my final one, why do they hate Fiorini so much? Do they just not like Pastor up there or what?
There's something wrong.
Because those VFL numbers are unbelievable.
Yeah.
If we were playing VFL fantasy, he would be captain every single week.
So why isn't he in the team, Fish?
Can find the ball, can't he? Too many.
He's a magnet.
Too many good midfielders in front of him, unfortunately. Miller, Rowell, Anderson, Swallow finished third in the best and fairest last year. Elijah Hollands will play wing. Sam Flanders has had a great pre-season as well, so pretty tough for Braden to jump in, unfortunately.
Well, Fish, thanks very much, mate. As we said, there's so much going on up in Queensland for us for fantasy and a lot to think about. And you've got a bit of work ahead of you. You get off to see the Suns today. We'll be able to catch all of your awesome intel on afl.com.au. But then the match sim that you'll have next week, are you going to check out the Suns and the Bombers?
I am going to check them out. I'll be there for sure. So, mate, follow my stuff on Twitter and read my stuff on afl.com and keep across everything.
Now, if that's a plug for journo votes for the month.
He might get votes.
Yes. He might get votes.
Well, we've announced our Fantasy Journalist of the Year. We're doing votes each month. Yep. So get those tweets out there, get them right, and have your little fantasy slant to them because all the fans do notice.
Yeah, too right they do.
Right, I'm on it.
Beauty. Thanks, Fish. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, boys. Anytime.
All right, we are looking at the rucks today. That's what we're up to with our position previews. And, Cal, you are taking the reins. You're taking that first bounce.
Yep.
And you're going to get that hit out.
Yep.
To advantage.
To someone.
Right,
let's have a look at it. So we're going to start off here, Roy, with the most popular guys.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about, let's go Rowan Marshall first up. Is there anything here that concerns you about Rowan?
No.
No, I'm 100%. So last year when he was a solo ruck, he did it 8 times at an average of 118. Hear that again. 8 times last year as a solo ruck, 118, top score 163.
Yep.
The only concern is Tom Campbell. Now, Tom Campbell's currently injured or on a modified program. Yep. He's not going to be there.
He's zero concern.
So there is zero concern about anyone else challenging him as
just all the forwards that are going down.
That is the only worry.
They did sign an SSP.
They did.
So that, possibly helps if he gets a game, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. Now, obviously what we're talking about there is their big man stocks have thinned out a little bit in the forward 50. Rowan Marshall has obviously played forward a lot and he's capable up there. So the worry is that he needs to go there and they put a second-rate ruck in and just hope that they can get the ball forward to a target in Marshall. This is something that I think we're jumping at shadows a little bit if we fear that. He's going to be the number one ruck. I know you can't take anything out of interviews, etc., but he did sound pretty confident when in that Channel 7 interview where he was talking about his role this year. And it's time for him to take the mantle and he's going to absolutely kill it. Realistically, he could have killed it the last few years if Paddy Ryder hadn't been picked up. But so we get him at a bargain price this year. He's so underpriced, it's ridiculous.
So let's talk Tim English now. So he improved his average by 22.
Big.
22 last season. And then to join Max Gawn as the only 2 rucks that went triple figures.
Yeah.
Okay, now, he only played 15 games. The question with him is his durability because he's always injured. In those 15 games, he turned up 10 times.
Yeah.
That's elite.
He's very consistent.
Now, he's at nearly 100K more than Marshall. At the moment, they're going to be the 2 that most people are starting.
Yeah.
And they are the 2 most popular rucks.
My concern here is this set and forget.
Yeah.
Okay, we talk about it every year.
Yeah.
This is a set and forget approach.
It is.
Okay, we tried to do this last year and it just flopped.
So they're the 2 most popular rucks, Roy. Segue, not really. I just thought we didn't really talk about that. But is that your number 1 and 2?
Yeah.
And
which order?
So that's the question because in draft, which one do you go first?
Rowan Marshall.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's Marshall, then English for me. Now, that has actually flipped from my initial...
Yeah.
The first roll on 22 I did for the year, it had English, then Marshall, just because I wasn't sure about, that last game with Tom Campbell and Big Dum-de-Dum was fit and firing, but he's not anymore. And Rowan Marshall is now my clear-cut number one.
Yep.
English number two. One thing splitting them is that ceiling of Marshall.
Oh, yeah.
He can go humongous. I think English just feels like he's that safe 105 guy week in, week out.
Yep.
In terms of development, I think what we saw from English last year was super impressive.
Yep.
But this year I think he is going full beast mode. I think his domination this year is going to be something to behold. So, yes, he's number two, but I think he's going to be so good that we can't not start with him.
So we did have a couple of scores, this is English, a couple of scores last year over 130, 132 and a 138. Some people were turned off, though, by the fact he goes against Gawn and Grundy in round one.
Bloody daunting matchup.
I still don't think it's going to bother him
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, so do I.
So when he's at his best... he's all over the ground.
Yep.
So what impressed me most about him last year, you don't often see a ruckman, so from a kick out and things like that, a ruckman push back and get looked at inside D50 for the chip mark. But that's the sort of regard they hold him in. They're happy to give him the kind of possessions that are usually, the small, more creative players. They're happy to hit English up on the way out.
Yep.
And then he pushes forward and takes a mark because no other ruckman can keep up with him.
Yep.
So, I think he's going to, from all reports, his fitness levels and his domination in the preseason has been nuts. So I think he will be huge, but I still have him behind Mark.
So do you have anyone challenging those two?
Well, no, but for value I do. So, like those two I have clear cut.
Agree.
1 and 2.
Give me a average prediction for either of them.
Marshall 110, English 106.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think they're both going to dominate.
Up a bit on what they did.
Yeah, it is. And I'm really confident in both of them, to be honest. That's why I'm comfortably spending the cash there.
Okay.
Now, if I was chasing value, or how there's sometimes you got to sacrifice one guy you love to fix another line, and just go from someone who's really iffy just to make it a little more solid. The cash grab of English to Darcy Cameron is hard to ignore, and the value there, if the planets align for him, is significant. So Cameron, I think, if he was going to be playing 70% ruck, I think the value would be too great to ignore there, because doing that role, I think he could average 100, right?
Okay.
I fear that they really liked what Cox did in the back end of last year, and that concerns me enough to put a line through at the moment.
Agree. So Darcy Cameron he's very popular though at the moment. I think he's in 20-something percent.
Yeah, rightfully so.
So the thing is with him, so Grundy went down, he took over the ruck in round 7. For the next 11 games, he goes at 102.
Yeah.
Right? He dropped off at the last half of the year, so the 6 games at the end, he went at 76.
Yeah.
All right, so he started to get tired with the main role. He's better than that now. The concern 100% is the Cox. And the other thing is, with the new sub rule, I've seen this thrown out, that these two together that may be sub-affected.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm a fan of that. I'm 100%. I think this could be a play where Cameron starts in the ruck, Cox goes forward, you've got someone on the pine, you're subbing Cameron comes in, Cox goes into the guts, and you've got new legs. I think that's something they might look to do.
Yeah, I feel like it would be Cox getting subbed off every time out of that.
Okay.
Unless he was firing.
Yeah.
Unless he was having a day, like he's had twice in his career.
Yeah, so very rare. But the fact that it's a shared type role.
Yep.
I'm a big Cameron fan, but I've ruled him out now. The hope I had was that McStay coming in would push Cox out of the side
altogether, yeah,
and then he would get that 70% minimum ruck time with McStay just
I don't think that's
chopping
happening,
out for him. I don't think so. If that was happening, he would be in my team, but I'm not doing it as a result.
So from English, we're saying that Marshall has to be there. If you wanted to grab coin and go English to Cameron, you're going to make...
English doesn't... Well...
You're saving...
I don't feel like he offers much value.
English? No, you're getting what you pay for.
Too right. And
sure.
you're going to save a 175K down to Cameron.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
so
massive.
it's significant.
It is.
Cameron's only priced at 82.
So what does Cameron realistically go at?
I think he's a 90.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of meat on the bone.
No.
If he's at a... Yeah.
But there's not a lot of meat on the bone on English either.
No, but you're just guaranteed one of the top two.
Exactly.
That's the thing. There is meat on the bone if the roll's there. But I think there's too many question marks over the roll with Cox, especially what was happening at the end of the season.
So who ranks then? You sort of jumped a bit there saying Darcy Cameron's your value and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at rolling 22, who do you guys rank at your 3 and 4 in draft rankings?
I'm Max Gawn 3.
Well, so I have Grundy at 3 and then Max at 4.
Right, and then I'm Grundy at 4. I think Max will have a bigger year than Grundy.
Okay.
I think Max can score more points over the ground than what Grundy can.
That's what Grundy built his career on a bit.
Yeah, but he's going to have to go forward at some point.
Max is definitely going back more. I've had a little sauce on that one.
Yep.
Really? I don't mind that.
No, I don't mind it either. That's what I mean. I think Max can score. He can score forward. He can score back. I don't think Grundy can do that.
I hear what both of you are saying there because Dog's right. Grundy was labelled that extra on baller.
Yeah.
So he scores like that. But Max's ability to float back with the intercept marking and then he can find the ball forward of centre as well. So they're both very interesting. With my draft rankings, I did go Grundy, Gawn, but my ears have really pricked up at you saying that behind the ball
Might
stuff.
be editing that this
I
week.
think I'm going to.
Max went at 100 with Luke Let's not forget that. Like he was getting a bit of a chop out there. So
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
A bit of a chop
Yes.
out.
A bit of a chop out. But what I'm saying is when Max went back behind the ball, he was arguably better.
Yes.
The amount of marks that he takes across there is ridiculous.
It is.
I don't think he's going to be 100, but I think he's going to be very, very high 90s.
So when we're looking at classic then, Marshall, English and then Cameron, they're sort of our 3 standout players where people are choosing between. Who else have you got on your radar, Calvin?
Unless, Roy, you want to save 200 and where have I written that? A lot of money, 200 and something $1,000 here. If you want to go to my mate, Scott
Lycett-and-forget.
His name is popping up a lot at the moment because people are looking to save some cash.
280K from English to him. Now, Lycett, when Lycett's being Lycett, is an 80 to an 85 guy. Okay? Because he only played a handful of games last year, he's priced at 72. So there's a little bit of meat on the bone
100% there is.
He has been an 85 guy before. Okay, he's never averaged 90. So let's just get that crystal clear.
Yeah.
At max, he's an 85.
Yeah.
Which is a 13-point meat on the bone.
Yeah.
That is not a bad play, considering English has the Melbourne matchup first round.
Yeah, he's got it's not just the only bad matchup for him. There's a couple of tough ones. And you could maybe work with Lycett early, providing he's fit and healthy and ready to go, because last year was his shoulder. Yeah.
If he's playing, it's something to consider.
Yeah.
Especially with the amount of coin that will save you from someone who is top priced to someone who offers value.
Yeah.
Am I doing it at the moment? No.
Right.
But if I need, it's a lot of money.
I know.
It's a lot of coin.
But that's just another random name.
I know.
The more random names you start with, the more random dudes you're stuck with.
I know.
That's
you don't want to be stuck with a Lycett.
is this year.
Agree. So here's an option if you wanted to, because some people are doing it. And, geez, it makes your team look better everywhere else.
Are there any mid-priced options worth looking at? I've seen Lloyd Meek thrown up there. I've got no faith there because I think the Hawks are definitely playing 2 rucks.
When we look at mid-priced options here, Lloyd Meek is your only one at $4.73, and it's one that you... No, it's a no. There is no chance he will be their number 1 ruck.
No.
There is no chance. There's no chance you can have him at R2.
No.
And that's truckload way too much to even start on your bench. It's not even an option. There's no way he's going to get it. So he played 6 games last year for the Dockers at an average of 61.
Yeah.
He's not going to get a look in at the Hawks. He's behind both of those guys, Ned Reeve, also behind Max Lynch.
You reckon he's behind Lynch?
Yep.
Do you?
Yep.
I think I don't know about that. He's at least equal with Reeves. Those two are playing together.
Yes.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I don't know if Lynch is definitely there.
But you're not touching him. You are not touching him.
No, definitely not.
And we just haven't seen enough for him to really show that. That's like a few of the guys, if you were trying to go the real value options. Like, I'd love that Sam Draper, and this is thinking draft rankings as well, but far out. I don't know when he gets there. At some point he will. He's pretty much been 60 these last 3 years.
Yeah.
22 games at 59.2, 12 games at the 57.3, 8 games at 63. So that's where he's been. So he will get an opportunity.
So he's my keeper ruck, right? But
we keep that league going for a while then.
I know. Well, that's the thing. So I'm going to keep him.
Yeah.
However, I'm shopping for a ruck, and I shouldn't be. He should be ready to be an 80 guy. Why doesn't he?
Don't know. Nank the Tank, do you want him?
Maybe. Let's talk.
Here's one for you. So based on last year's average, he averages around the 25 best ruck available.
That's inexcusable.
Isn't that amazing?
And he's sole ruck
the only one there.
That's just...
It's unbelievable.
What about Jarrod Witts? So we played that 22 games last year. Averaged, 90.5. It's like there's no value in it. But
he's the only one there.
That solo ruck thing.
And gosh, that's ironic.
The question marks aren't there. Yet we had so many question marks this time last year that we couldn't even
what he was priced at?
You know what he was priced at
last year? 68.
And he was coming off the ACL though.
Yes.
And coming back early.
Yep.
And
did he not play? I don't think he played. Did he? Oh, I can't remember. I feel like he didn't play in the pre-season or something.
Of all the rucks, he had by far the most question marks over him. And obviously to not take him, for us not to take him at that price, way too worried about durability.
Yeah.
And then, ironically, he's the only one that pushed through the whole season. Amazing effort. Now, someone we don't really talk about, but he deserves to be spoken about, and some people are considering it as just getting him for what he is, but Riley O'Brien... He gets it done all the time.
So where's he sit? Because did he get dropped last year? He must have.
Yeah, and then he come back with that huge
dominated
score.
In the Sandful, and then
So he's a 95 guy. He could even push triple figures. When he's at his best, he's doing those intercept marks down the line and things like that. And I'd say he looks great, but then I think about what he looks like when he kicks it back the other way.
That's right.
It's just... He can keep the score ticking over with those marks.
Yep.
But I could never start with him.
You could never do it. But
no doubt in some sort of ruck disaster through the season, he will end up in my team at some stage.
Agree. And as you summed it up well, I think he is what he is.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to start with a guy like that.
And he's a bully. He will dominate anyone who... If you come in with a second standard sort of ruck... He will annihilate them with a thumping score, but then he can also give you a stinker the next week just to keep you grounded.
All right, here's
a
name.
concern.
We have to talk about him, Roy. Juicy Brucey.
Oh, man. Right. Now, there's our biggest
What's he got,
concern.
85 next to his name?
That's why English missed half the bloody season last year, because he got Proust.
Yes.
That's all that Proust offers.
Where?
Injuries to people.
Okay, where does he go on draft day?
Like, it's going to make or break you.
It's outside the top 10.
See, I've got him on that sort of around there. Currently 13, and that's probably more about me than him. But
you know what?
I've got him at 12.
And that's fair because... Yes, he may average a lot more than a couple of guys in front of him.
Got Lycett ahead of him.
Yeah, because...
That's a mistake.
It is, but Lycett at least is going to play.
That's the thing. Yeah.
That's the other part.
That's why he's ahead of him.
So although he might average
Proust
more...
will average more.
Yes.
Than Lycett. Proust is more than capable of averaging 90.
Too right he is.
It's just how many games will he play? Will he get suspended, injured or dropped first? I don't know.
There are nearly 10 rucks there capable of averaging 90. Nearly 10.
I Well, we talk about our rucks very much so in our draft kit. So see how your rankings look. Have a bit of a play with your own and see how they come out, because it will be an interesting position. I guess strategy for that. A Rowan Marshall, Tim English goes in the first couple of rounds. Are you going to be willing in that first 2 rounds to take a Max or a Grundy with their unknowns? Like, what can they do? They could be a 90 to 100.
Yep.
I'll tell you, if one of those gets injured, the other one is going to be humongous again.
You're right.
And right in the mix for that 1 or 2 in the Rollin 22.
100% they would be.
Just flips it, doesn't it?
It flips it something chronic. So the ability-wise, they are both still right up there.
Because it is a tricky thing. Like the punt rucks, the draft doctors like to talk about that a lot as well, being a thing. Just don't pick them. Just get them right at last, because there is that group, and it's a bit like when we talk about other positions with a blanket. There is a blanket there probably from after those first couple through. So you could be getting your Toby Nankervis as a mid to high 80s.
Yep, 100% you could.
And you could be getting him at 10.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of the idea of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very interesting line at the moment.
It is. Last one, though. Have you got an R3? Who are we going?
Well, this is it. This is clutching at massive straws. Here's some names for you to put in your R3.
Right.
Samson Ryan.
Yep.
Okay, now let's remember, but then forget. He played 1 game last year, round 15 for Richmond. Remember what he scored?
I remember going, ouch.
-2. -2. So he sits in 23% of teams at the moment. They're hoping. This is how desperate we are for our R3. Jacob Edwards is in 20% of teams. Now, that would be off the back that Goldie's 35 this year. My boy is 35 this year. At some point, they're going to have to look to transition in some youth here. So maybe people are thinking it's him. He was 15 games in the VFL last year. Another one to keep an eye on.
X-Aries coming in.
X-Area will be there.
But then Jacobs is going to come in to potentially support the X.
Yeah.
Okay. Max Heath. This is a St Kilda guy, 20 years old, 204 centimetres.
What have you found out about him?
Right, here we go. So he's a ruck forward.
Uncle Cal, the creeper.
Ruck forward. 15 games in the VFL last year, 11 goals.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a guy that comes into the forward line for them.
Right.
Just saying. The other two to watch, and this is, I'm scraping a bloody deep barrel here, Roy.
God.
Gold Coast, Ed Moyle, dog. Now, he's Witts' only backup.
Oh, Shaky the Moyle.
He is Witts' only backup.
See, I like this one as an option.
So he's Witts' only backup. So the other one is Jack Williams, who played 1 game last year. Guess what he scored, Roy?
What?
1 point.
Oh, God, why are they doing this?
No.
They should be priced under 200,000.
Put your best foot forward, fellas.
Put a foot forward.
Look, I think it just shows how desperate we are here. Samson Ryan is the number 1 R3 at the moment, and that's coming in behind Nankervis and Solder.
All of a sudden, there's a gaping hole in everyone's team. This is an issue. This is also, sorry to jump back, but this is also of interest for, say, Darcy Cameron in the forward line, because what are we going to do? What if English, for example, has a 1 weeker and we've got no one to cover him? You could maybe do something special if that was a DPP just sitting on the bench, and you could chuck Cameron there for the week, and you'd sort of get away with it a lot better.
Yes.
I don't know what we're going to do with a 1 weeker in the ruck. If we go and set and forget with those big 2, Big Rowan Marsh clips someone, gets a 1 week suspension, guaranteed to be back the next week.
Yep.
You don't want to be trading that.
Agree. And that's supports your argument of not having a Lycett there.
Yeah.
Because at least with those guys, you can trade them out, and you get it's an easy straight swap. But if you've got a Lycett who is value, that's going to be harder to do. That play with Darcy Cameron in the forward line, we go set and forget. And every year it sucks, and every year it burns us in some way.
Yeah.
Darcy Cameron is your little insurance policy in the forward line.
He is.
It is an option.
And he's justifiable value in the forward line.
Agree.
But as in the right role.
Agree.
I don't think the right role is going to be there for some reason. I'm really jumping at a shadow there, aren't I? But That's my gut feel with it at the moment, how they see it. They rate Cox again.
Yeah.
In the ruck. Is it because Cameron's a better forward?
Maybe. No. Think about how good he was in that ruck.
Remember that one game, Roy? He dominated.
That guy. No. Yeah,
Cameron,
I know.
the thing is with Cameron, he's at 82. He's at an average of 82. He's going to be better than that.
He is. But then you start playing around that price and, you know, what's Butters priced at? He's probably not that much more than...
Yeah, true.
And you're like going, well, if I'm looking at the forward line, Butters versus Cameron, I'm going Butters every time.
Agree.
That's a concern. I don't think we can justify bringing Cameron in as that security role, the security blanket there. However, in the right role, yes, that would be a play. Yeah. Do we have to spend up on someone on the bench in the ruck then? We don't want to go in, but then you could argue that it is nice to have a looper.
Yeah, I think that is the plan.
I agree. I think if an injury happens to one of our big boys there, English and Marshall, then you're just straight swapping them out for the next best. I think that's just all you have to do. And the fact that we've paid up for it means money's going to be there.
So what we want on the bench then is
a ruck forward.
A ruck forward.
That plays late in the round.
Yes.
That's as much as possible.
Yeah. God, that's a gross way to start, but that's what I'd be.
Well, most likely it could be your Edwards then, because North Melbourne always tend to be playing Sunday
that's
afternoon.
True.
Yep, and he's a ruck forward.
He's a short price favourite.
He is. There you go.
Yep.
R3 done.
All right.
It is.
Your R1 and R2, go, Calvin.
Yeah, exactly. Straight bat, boring cow. It is English and Rollin.
There is nothing boring about that.
Know.
I guarantee
Yours?
Marshall English.
Yeah, same. Is there a chance that you go somewhere else? And
no.
If you do, what would it be?
If I go anywhere else, it will be Marshall Lycett.
Stay strong, mate.
Hey, no,
this is just good old... This is not hat cow.
I don't have to do what you guys do.
That's not hat cow.
I am my own person.
That's everyday normal cow. A failure.
Oh, that's the wrong button. You're a failure.
Got a question for the traders? Tweet the boys at AFL Fantasy or head to facebook.com/AFL Fantasy Official.
All right, Twitter time and Facebook time and Instagram time at AFL Fantasy. Pretty much in all of those places you can find us, especially that Instagram account, Cal. Some of the things you've been liking on there since you've
have not
got
Instagram. People can see that.
I've logged in once.
Clean it up.
Couldn't even work out how to use the bloody thing.
Right. Is that why you were double tap? Oh, so you didn't think that was a like?
You were zooming in. Time. All right. Let's go. Questions. We'll start with Facebook today.
I was swiping.
You're swiping it? You're trying to enlarge it?
Chris Quayle is asking you, what about Juicy Prusy with your Darcy Cameron in the forward line as your cover?
No.
If you went Juicy Prusy, you would need to do that.
Yes, you have to do that. That's a time where you need to get your little blankie.
How exciting.
Yeah.
You're in. Look, if you're playing the game of fantasy for the excitement that it brings and the edge of your seat sort of stuff, then that is what you do.
That's what you do, all right.
Michael's asking, if Marshall goes down, who will be his replacement at the Saints?
Jeez.
It is Campbell when he's right. Because, he's just had a niggle as such, as an Achilles one, which is not going to get him in there for round one or anything like that. However...
so don't rule off my mate, Max Heath. Don't write him off.
It's a large Achilles too.
Yeah, it would be a...
Well, how far away... What ended up happening with... I've forgotten his name. Jack Hayes.
Oh, yeah, because he
was right, but it was just like an injury. Like his ACL, I think he's back from type thing. But, yeah, so he's another one, obviously, to monitor there.
Keep an eye. Keep an eye.
Rightio. Greg, are there any actual rucks that we can trust or is going a safe, boring 85 an option to start this year?
Look, it is actually an option.
So you Lycett.
Yeah. I mean,
could it be Witts? I just feel like that 90 for him is just a bit
That's
high.
what he is. Yep.
But it's a bit high.
Yeah, but I mean...
That you might just be able to squeeze a little bit of upside from one of those mid-80s guys.
Yeah, I think so. But is it okay just to... If you could get 22 games out of him at that average and just not have to worry about that spot, maybe at the end of the season,
which is why we like to
turn him into
you
one
don't
of the
have
big
to
guys.
think about that spot. However, each year we have to think about it, regardless.
And
of
I just think Rowan Marshall's going to pump out too many massive scores for us to just be able to sit back and ignore if you were a non-owner. And I think English's consistency is going to be way too good. You won't be able to watch Dogs games as a non-owner watching him take marks all over the ground.
Have we completely forgotten about Blixars?
So what are we paying for him?
He's someone I'd love to get laid in a draft.
Yep.
Yeah,
as
so
a
what's he
ruck.
got next to him? A 90.
So in the grand final, we had a 111.
Yeah,
So where does Segler sit? That's the other thing.
There's the other. But Blix is a midfielder.
he is.
He's a
So
midfielder.
Segler coming in
Segler's
doesn't bother
cheap.
Blix at all because Blix
Segler's
plays
very
mid.
cheap.
Segler's cheap, is he, dog?
So what is he in their plans then? Like they just won a flag without him and they're going to be like, oh, thank God, Segler's back, available.
So is Red Stanley still.
And Sam.
So yeah. I just thought about Blix as a midfielder because that's
Yeah.
what he'll play for him.
100%.
He'll be all over the ground.
The fear with
He's
it,
only at 600.
he's a... who's at 6?
Stanley.
Oh, God. Don't even think
See,
about it.
we're desperate when we're using these names.
Oh, we're not that desperate.
No.
Warnie made a mistake to say that. Apologise, please, Warnie.
And apologise for saying Segler's cheap because people just prick their ears up.
Blix is like... the fear with him is on any given week they could have their fullback out
Agree.
and Blix has to go back and then he throws you an absolute shocker out of nowhere. That's my fear with him. He's just too versatile for his own
Agree.
good.
And I'm looking here, round 8, and he tagged Cripper.
Yeah.
And he only scores 80 in return.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree.
But, God, for going, even though that's a negative, for a ruckman to be in any kind of role like that,
Oh, yeah.
that's a cool thing, isn't it? Like, because he's a tackler and all those sorts of things. He's got lots of ways he can score.
So you're spot on here. So I'm looking at games here where he played as a ruck. He scored a 135 against Adelaide. He scored a 98. He scored a 133. He scored a 116 as the ruck.
Because he's he's an actual talented athlete. That's why he's going against ruckman.
Round 3, though, he's back in defence. He scores 45.
There's my worry,
Yep.
those weeks.
Yep.
Nicholas is asking, who can we realistically see becoming a genuine R3 option? Well, no one.
No
one.
So I guess your strategy is, do you try to find that next in line type guy, like a Moyle, or it could be Edwards or whoever, or do you go all in on the loophole?
I think you do.
I think you do.
Because we're not going to have 30 dots. We're not going to have 30 green dots to start the year. We'll have 29 green dots and there'll be a red one in your ruck department. You might as well make it one that plays on Sunday afternoon.
And, like, the thing is, if we were playing old school where the trades had to be locked in at the start of the round, having no emergency in the ruck would be scarier than now when we've got a rolling lockout. And we are going to have way more information coming through and then teams, finalise before. If there was a disaster with one of those two, you're less chance to end up with a donut now than you were back in the olden days.
Benjamin, why is everyone writing off Sean Darcy? He's only 24 and has scored 90 before, or average 94. Freo attacking midfield will get the ball forward when he's resting, have the same opportunity to score when resting. Is it the Jackson factor?
That's a
think
big
so.
part of it. With me, I think of big Sean Darcy and I think great scorer at his best. Like, he's elite. But then I think injuries and I think Jackson. And I think no.
So he's played 19 and 21 games in the last two seasons.
Which goes
His
against what our
durability-
thinking is.
Which is better than it ever has been before.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jackson factor is a big one for me. Jackson hasn't gone over there to play as a forward.
No. I think he'll find himself there more.
So do I. I think they tricked him. We talked about that the other week.
Yeah. However, it's still a big name
As
to
you
just
say,
be sitting forward.
as you say though, Roy, if you are a Freo fan, there's nothing wrong with Darcy as an owner.
He hasn't got the amount of respect he deserves. You are spot on, and his age is ripe just to go bang. And he's such a big lump. He does dominate in there.
And he's fit and healthy and he's playing games. So, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Can Samson Rowan score more than 2 points this year?
Well, he scored -2.
How many % improvement is that?
Jeez.
Probably doesn't work.
I-
Negative numbers.
Look, it's R3. I'm just willing to throw that.
Look, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's better than his average suggests. I reckon he can get a hit out or something.
Yeah, he's the definite upside about it.
Brendan's saying this. We've sort of touched on this on the way through. With ruck carnage last year, should we have a third ruck, for example, Bleeks or Cameron as a backup, like having them in the other line? So Bleeks is a midfielder, though.
Yeah.
It's a no.
You can't do that.
If he was a defender, ruck,
that could be.
I would be like,
well, this year it would actually be an option,
yes,
I think.
Yeah, it would.
With how the defenders look.
I wouldn't be able to squeeze him in as a forward ruck this year, I don't think, because of all the other value there. The only one is that, and I'll stand by what I said earlier, if Cameron was getting that 70-30 split guaranteed as a ruck, then there is enough value to do that with the three of them.
Yeah, because Cameron's at an 82.
Yeah.
And that could get him up to that 90 mark.
Yeah, I think he'd be 100 if he was 70% ruck.
Okay. So could that change for you in the practice games? Or is it just too scary?
Oh, if it just was there for the world to see and looked blatantly obvious what they were doing, I would actually need to see. No, because I'm trying to play a real straight bat this year. I'm not going to jump at all this crap that I usually do. But if I saw Cox pushed out of the team, which isn't going to happen, but if that happened, then I'm back on.
So Cox is going to play forward. They've got a pretty good forward line already.
Not the height, though.
Okay.
State, yeah.
Just saying. I reckon there's a chance this year that he won't be there. Let's cross our fingers.
Jack and a few other people have asked this basically about English's hard run at the start of the year.
Yeah.
Does that affect your selection of him?
No, it doesn't for me.
No.
Traditionally, would it have? Yeah, God, I look for any reason to change my team around. But I'm staying stronger than that. What I'm looking at this year is imagine everyone else's matchup versus English, because I think he's going to be that good. I think he's better than everyone that he's going to be matched up against.
He's not the little stick man that he used to be.
No.
When we used to call him speaking no English, right?
No.
He was tiny and he used to get monstered by these dudes.
Yeah.
He's the monster now.
He speak a lot of English now.
He is a big man.
Yeah.
And he is just as good as them.
Yeah, and his agility, his strength, everything.
Agree.
So it's a tough matchup for everyone else.
Agree.
Not him. Yeah. But I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess it's something there. My thought on that as well is going, but then you probably want him at round 3. How are you getting him at round 3?
Yeah.
Like, are you playing
so he gets
a
through
weird
those tough
game,
ones?
A weird game of going, I've got to ruck for a couple of weeks and I'm trading. Like, the game doesn't work like that.
No.
You have something else to do.
Yeah.
So in round 19 last year...
You don't want to make your trades...
No.
Before the season's already started.
No. I'm going to sum it up for you here.
Trades.
So round 19 last year, English went head-to-head with Max Gawn. Max Gawn scores 133 points. He has 40 hit-outs, dominates.
Yeah.
English, 116, only 19 hit-outs.
Yeah.
He takes 10 marks and has 20 touches.
Yes.
He still gets the job done in other ways.
Yes, he does.
So 116 points against Max last year, and Max dominates the ruck.
Yeah. Good luck keeping up with Tim around the ground. And like I said, they like to use him on the way out.
They had 10 marks. There you go.
There you go.
You did a chat GPT and that just searched through the questions on Twitter. Realistically, Scott Lycett would be a name that would pop out. If it's coming out going, ooh, what is the best ruck combo? Scott Lycett's going to be there because there's so many questions about him.
I tell you, it's legit. It's legit. And if you are scared by English's draw, hey, save yourself $280K and go to a guy.
Well, it's a guaranteed number 1 ruck.
It is. It's guaranteed 80 to 85 average.
Gosh.
It was a shoulder last year. He's back. He's healthy. He's fit as a fiddle. He's the number 1 ruck.
Yeah.
It's an option.
In a good team.
It's an option.
Yeah. Okay.
Chumbawamba on Twitter is ex-Airy, a draft option in a 2-ruck 10-man league. They're drafting 20 rucks at a minimum.
Oh, dear. Well, he has to be an option,
well,
yes.
You cross Draper off.
So, I've got him ranked at 17, so, yes, he will be an option in your league.
20 rucks. Psychopathic almost.
That's cruel. That's what it is.
All right. Other questions from at AFL Fantasy on Instagram, our new account there. Calvin Christian wants to know, is Goldie an option?
He's always an option, especially in draft. I got him at 17 in draft, Roy.
I got him at 20.
Yeah. Have you got X-Man ahead of him?
Yep.
X-Man, you're taking X over Goldberg.
You guys have lost your mind. Goldie went at 72 last year.
Yeah, he's sliding, the big fella.
Isn't he? So it's a massive no for Classic, and it's a massive no for draft unless you're drafting 2 rucks each.
This is what I think of Goldie. I've got Draper ranked ahead of him.
No, you don't.
Yo.
Is this the year of Draper disarming us?
No, it is not the year of Draper.
Could be.
Look at his last year's average, 59.
How could you be that crap?
59?
He's good.
59 from 22 games.
Like that goal he kicked, that's basically all his points for the year.
Lucas wants to know, is starting with Lycett and Meek at R1 a bad idea?
Talk about the rest of your ground looking outstanding.
Wouldn't it ever? And you'll never sleep, mate.
Okay, we probably haven't given this enough love yet, but Nathan's asking, is Grundy a legitimate option?
Yes.
I think he is.
Yes, he is. He's as cheap as he's ever been. I think he's like at 93 or something, isn't he?
Yeah, about that.
At worst, he averages that.
Agree. And he's healthy.
They could both feast, to be honest. Like there is that chance as well.
Yeah.
That they make a mockery.
I don't mind it. He's cheaper than English.
I think. Remember when the Pies started to not use Grundy through the ground? Like they just used to basically skip him, avoid him, not use him as a midfielder anymore. Yep. What's going to happen at the Ds? Will he be considered that a usable player? Like, I mean, obviously his skill set.
They use Max Gawn through the middle.
They do. So they're going to use Grundy.
You would think so.
Yeah. So the pair of them could be outstanding.
He's 70k cheaper than English. He's a former, he's a pig.
Yeah, in 120s.
Yeah.
He's done 120s twice.
How far off English is he going to be?
I don't know.
It's not a lot.
No, but I still just feel English is so much safer because there's known factors there. There's so much unknown at Melbourne. And the unknown could actually work against us here and be really good.
Is this something we're going to look back on, halfway through the year and go, we overthought that?
Yes.
We overthought that. What were we doing?
We just didn't sit back and stop, take a deep breath and think those two are actually elite AFL players.
So yes, English and Grundy.
Chance.
So English and Grundy, $70,000 the difference, which is let's say about 10 points.
Yeah.
In value there.
Yeah.
Is that going to be the difference?
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I think it could be.
That's where I'm sitting at the moment.
Unless we're overthinking.
But I could 100% be wrong on this.
Yeah.
Grundy could be back to the 105.
What do you think, Dog? Where are you on this?
I like Grundy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why I've got him at number 3.
Yeah, but God, and then I hear that you come in today and say Max is floating across half back.
I have Max ahead of him.
They both could do 100.
Max, I agree. Max could average over 100 easily. He did it last year.
Have rucks changed, though, as well? Like last year we saw probably the lowest sort of return from rucks at the top end.
But we've got a ruck now who's floating across half back. Remember when he was doing that?
But he did that before. He still did that before because he had...
No, not when he was elite doing it because we'd walk in here and we'd just look at each other and he was doing 130s. Having 10, 12 marks a game back there.
There's every chance that's what happens.
If he's doing that, he is definitely your third-ranked ruck in draft. He's not an option in Classic because he's worth more than
English.
He's
the most expensive.
That's not an option.
That's not okay.
Not yet, but it might be.
Yeah, gosh, I'm starting to think they both could be very good.
Oh, they both would be fantastic. There you go, Dog.
All right, I think we've talked about rucks a fair bit, and I don't know if we've really worked anything out apart from sticking with our vanilla.
We have, yes, Dog. Play it straight back to the bowler.
Yep.
Go on.
And so
fix
too long
up.
didn't listen.
And also get to the understanding that there are no R3s to pick.
No.
Right.
No.
So if you want to
So a bit of fixture analysis.
Yep, okay. That can be everyone's job out there.
Well, there's a scale.
Find us a DPP.
I can have a look at the
plays late in the round, like your North Melbourne, as you suggested, Cal. Highly likely to be them.
Sunday Arvo.
Yeah.
4:30.
Yeah.
In the bush somewhere.
Yes, that.
Yep.
Right. We're done.
We are.
Yeah.
Make sure you're clicking back to afl.com.au for all of our content that is floating through. There's a bit there. We're not far away from games. We're not far away from the draft kit dropping. And, well, draft season is upon us.
Oh, yes.
Or pretty much. So we'll have some content around that, and hopefully we want to hear about your drafts as well. So hit us up on social media. At AFL Fantasy is the official Twitter and Instagram handle. Also, AFL Fantasy Official. You can find that on Facebook, and then you can catch us. I'm at Warney DT.
I'm at Roy DT.
That's Cullivan DT.
And we will be back for another great episode of Coach's Corner later in the week as well. So make sure you're tuning into that. Hit subscribe or the follow buttons over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Have a good week.